All right, everybody. So today's episode is going to be relatively quick because we are driving back to Austin today from Colorado. But I wanted to get this out there because this is the next major problem that I see people having whenever they're trying to scale a sales funnel for e-commerce. It's that your ad costs are too high of CPA, customer cost per acquisition, or customer acquisition cost, which for e-commerce are basically the same thing. It's costing you too much with ads to get a new customer. And so we've talked before about conversion rate and average order value. Now it's if your ad costs are too high. So to give you an example of some of the pain that I've experienced trying to figure this out was once trying to figure out YouTube advertising and accidentally advertised on YouTube's homepage, and basically within 10 minutes burned $5,000. So back in the day, especially when Google was the only game in town for online advertising, display ads, search ads, they just dominated. They basically would do anything possible to take your money. But then Facebook came along, and so now, like most places, whenever there's competition, it's typically better for the customers because now they actually have to compete to provide better services. And so the same thing happened with the ad platforms. Facebook said, okay, if we want to beat Google, then we have to actually do better for our customers, which on the ad side is the actual advertisers. And so what they have done, from what I've seen, is they actually want you to make money. It sounds crazy because we always think of them as just these greedy platforms that just want to screw advertisers. Not really the case. They realize that if they help you make money, achieve your business goals, as long as it's within their policies, you're not ripping customers off or advertising terrible products or anything like that, or over-promising and under-delivering, as long as you're treating their people well, then they want you to achieve your goals because they realize that if you do that, you're going to spend more money with them. So that's how, we basically scaled up from $0 to $700,000 a month in ad spend on Facebook. And the only way we would have ever done that was if Facebook was actually helping us achieve our goals, meaning getting customers at a reasonable cost. If we weren't, then we don't have the ability to just burn $700,000 a month. So they helped us achieve our goals. We kept spending more money. We both win. And so with that in mind, here are really the 5 steps to decrease your customer acquisition cost with paid advertising. Number 1, you got to make sure you're feeding them good conversion data. Now, if you're using Shopify, fortunately, this is easier. Sometimes, setting up the conversion tracking and making it work properly can be kind of a pain in the butt. And so I don't even claim to be an expert on this myself. I usually have either somebody else do it, or in your case, if you need to, you can always hire somebody on like Upwork.com and just pay them by the hour to sort out your conversion stuff. Because you should see plus or minus, say, 10 to 15% the number of conversions in Shopify that Facebook is reporting from their ads, because you want Facebook to know when you get a sale, when you run an ad, so then it knows how to go find more people like that. And so if you're running some Facebook ads and your tracking on Facebook says you got 10 sales, but Shopify says you got 2 sales, that's a problem. Or if Facebook shows you got 2 sales, but you really got 10 sales, that's also a problem because Facebook's not getting all those signals of who's buying. And so you need those 2 to match. Sometimes, it'll be 8 or 9 or 8 versus 10, close enough. As long as it's within 10 to 15%, that's good enough. But you want to make sure those are matching pretty well. So number 1, make sure you're feeding them good conversion data. If you don't know how to do that, just hire somebody on Upwork.com. Number 2, make sure your conversion rate on your page is good, because a part of getting a lower cost per acquisition from Facebook ads is not just the ad side. Your page actually has to convert. And so we covered that 2 episodes ago, and I gave you the top 5 ways to increase conversion rate. So make sure you're doing all that stuff. Then this is why I'm covering this 2 episodes later and not doing this part first, because you have to have a well-converting page first before you can make Facebook ads or any sort of ad platform work. Then number 3, target the broadest audience possible. This used to be different on Facebook. You used to do all this crazy interest targeting and then lookalikes of lookalikes and all kinds of different things. And so nowadays, because Facebook wants you to make money, they want to make your life easier as long as you're treating their people well and going within their policies, then you want to target the broadest audience possible. If you can ship worldwide, target the entire world. But if nothing else, like most of us in e-commerce, we serve a certain country usually. And so make sure you target the entire country. Literally no filtering, no language filtering, no age filtering, no sex filtering, no anything else. Just literally target the entire country that you can sell in. And then Facebook over time will find the right people to buy from you as long as it's getting that good conversion data. So target the broadest audience possible. Number 4, make sure you have good creative. Now, this is easy to say, and I would say in the past was hard to do, but I don't think it's hard to do now because there's something called the Facebook ad library. If you just Google that, Facebook ad library, and then start typing in different businesses, especially if you know some of your competitors or people you know that are doing well advertising, just type their brands in there and you'll probably find their Facebook page. If you can find their Facebook page, because that's where they run ads to, click on those and see what ads they're running. If you see them running a similar kind of ad again and again and again and again with minor variations, that means that ad is probably working. And so that's one you want to model for yourself. Don't literally copy their exact text or graphics. That's their material, but model yours as closely as possible. If they're selling, for example, there was one called the Ridge Wallet that this thing is sold, I think, hundreds of millions of dollars of these little wallets using Facebook ads. And so we've modeled some ads off of them. Obviously, we don't sell wallets, so we apply it to our own business. But that includes the post text, the headline, the link description, and the image or video that they're using. Model stuff that's already working, and now creating good creative is not that hard anymore. Then also a proven format is kind of them versus us. And so we've done this in the coffee market before. We would show like a super moldy bean or somebody holding their stomach in pain. And then we would show one of our real customers holding a bag looking happy, showing that, hey, theirs is causing you problems, ours is not. That them versus us format has worked in almost every market. I've seen it apply to at least 20 different markets, works every time. And big principle here, aside from either modeling others or just using that them versus us format, is don't be boring. When in doubt, you got to grab people's attention. That's going to get you more clicks for the same number of impressions that you're paying for on Facebook. And that means you get more traffic and more sales for the same exact cost. And so don't be boring, but when in doubt, model somebody else and use that them versus us format. Number 5, let Facebook do its job. And so we recently started scaling a particular business that I can't say too much about, but we started with a really broad audience at $500 a day with a budget. And it did terribly at first for the first 2 days, but then Facebook started realizing who was buying, who wasn't buying. And then this campaign started crushing it, achieving our goals. We're basically making money upfront on day one, not even doing better than breaking even. So the general structure that we're using with this concept of letting Facebook do its job is we really have one campaign that we're using the campaign budget optimization feature, which basically just means that you have one campaign. And if you have multiple ad sets in there, Facebook will decide how to distribute budget among the ad sets. In the past, we would set an individual budget for each ad set. So we're kind of controlling that. But with the philosophy here of letting Facebook do all the optimization. So we literally have one campaign for the whole business. And then we have 2 ad sets. 1, to get new customers, so that audience of really broad, and 2, to retarget people that have visited our websites or have seen the ads. And so that's kind of, as you can imagine, it's going to be a little bit different messaging once somebody's already seen the ad once and they've already visited your website. So you have to use kind of a different messaging. So we have one, what I would call prospecting campaign, which is a super broad audience, and then that's an ad set, and the second ad set within that one campaign, which is to retarget people that have already engaged with us. That's it. One campaign, 2 ad sets. Per each ad set, we have about 5 ads. And then once again, we just let Facebook do its thing. We feed it 5 ads and it'll figure out which one is going to get you the lowest cost per conversion, assuming you're doing that first thing we talked about, which is giving it good conversion data. So I know this is quite a bit to cover in just a few minutes, but this is the process to reduce your cost per acquisition, especially with paid advertising. And I've talked a lot about Facebook ads. This really applies to almost any ad platform now, including TikTok. Facebook is kind of wrapped in with Instagram. So you'll have more than enough ways to get customers if you do this literally only on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Also kind of applies to Google, though the machine is slightly different. But this is how the advertising works now. So you got to do the first couple things we talked about: increase conversion rate, which was 2 episodes ago, increase average order value, which is the last episode, and now apply these things to reduce your cost per acquisition, and you will be well on your way to crushing it with paid ads.